Okay, I'm getting ready to do some pretty major updates. So want to just go over what the camper is right now and the minor things I've done to it so far over living with it for the last year, nearly full time. So it's a 2005 double cab Toyota Tundra, and the camper is a 2024 Yoho made by Adventurer LP. And so actually this is did not have the gas tank or the extension to enable it on the Roto packs. That's actually brand new. And the idea there is I can get away with I've got some extra space in the cab, so I got shovel and kind of washing truck washing stuff, squeegee stuff on this side, and then of course the wiring going from the truck to the camper, although it's virtually unused at this point. All that really does is power uh, the lights up there during the nighttime when the headlights are on. um, and used to use this for my external solar panel. Don't use that as much anymore, and it actually kind of melted a little bit. I think the just from this contact, not having any kind of positive attachment to really keep it from slipping out, and gravity pulling it down every once in a while, I think it got kind of a loose connection and led to a little bit of melting, so that's a little unfortunate. But anyhow, got the diesel heater in the back, diesel gas tank, and little heater inside there, and just have this strapped outdoor bag here from Kelty. Use that for just storing. Well, there's a bare canister in there, as well as just extra trash bags. And so any stinky stuff, especially number twos, going to the bathroom, any stinky stuff like that is out here. And oh, looks like we got a little spider hanging out on it right now. But anyhow, so the idea with the gas tank is so I don't have to, so I can open up this space for more stuff than just having an extra gas tank. So this has worked okay. It's a little, tight getting past the strap and whatnot, in and out, if and when I do want to use it. Hopefully, or fortunately, I've never actually had to use it for emergency fuel, but I certainly get it out on a regular basis just to clear the fuel out of that, so it's not just sitting there for months and months. So I do cycle it into my gas tank on a regular basis so it doesn't go bad. And then extra diesel here. And kind of wanting to get away from this as well to really open up this space. And so I'm thinking, since I really don't use this for water all that much, especially during the winter, it just freezes and it's not usable. And of course it's usable as soon as you put it into the camper and let it thaw, but yeah, I have plenty of extra water inside that you're about to see. So so think it also, with this spout that sticks in here, I always I want to keep my water as clean as possible, and like sticking something in and out of that water, you got to be that much extra careful to not contaminate the water inside there. So the water jug inside has a filter, so really don't need that clean of water to be putting into it for use. But again, it's been something that's been on my mind, that it's an added thing that I really haven't utilized that much, and probably will either swap in a diesel tank or may just try out just putting diesel into it, just making it a dedicated diesel tank, so I'll have diesel and gas. As far as I know, it should be fine to carry diesel. I mean, won't ever be able to use it for water ever again, but that's fine by me. It'll just become a diesel tank. So it's all good. So kind of a modification, a little bit, but it's really just using the camper as is. I do put my my step ladder. It hangs on this bracket real nicely, hangs down right about here at the bottom, and so then I can use a cable lock to lock all these Rotopax things, not needing a lockable Rotopax mount. So that's nice. This loops through the ladder and the tanks, comes down to lock with a padlock, easy peasy. And then I just use these little bungees to also bungee the ladder up here. So that's worked out really good. I really like that. So yeah, nothing really modified in the propane, other than I have the hookup to use with a dual fuel generator that I got. I haven't used that generator much since being able to charge better off the truck. So that was a modification to the truck with a step-up transformer from 12 to 24, and then I guess I can show that. It's under the seat there and comes out. Right now don't have anything, it's kind of a ghetto wiring situation, just comes through the door and into the camper, but this really just looks like a 24 volt solar panel from the power station standpoint. So that's cool. Added a map to show where the camper's been, and actually still need to put on the Arkansas and Oklahoma stickers. So in the last year, the camper's seen nearly the entire US, with the exception of up north here, and Nebraska. I always managed to kind of just go around Nebraska, going back and forth between the west and the east coast, as it so happened. Also have a Blink security cameras, just bought magnetic mounts, and that's been working out like really good. So I had 4 cameras around that just looked after the camper, whether I was in it or I was out of it, just for some peace of mind security. So I've liked that, and I've actually driven down the highway 70 miles an hour with these attached, and even gone over some bumpy roads. And so these cameras, 2 on this side, 2 on the other side, as well as 1 up there, just looking over the entryway, they've held on pretty good. It's pretty powerful magnetic I mean, when you have leverage on it, they're very easy to come off, but for this tiny weight of the camera, yeah, they hold them just fine. And of course, if I want to, I've been kind of abusing them, but I can certainly just pop them off real easy, keep them in the cab of the truck when they're not in use. So another small modification to the camper was just adding this elbow that I got off of Amazon. So that was nice. Stock, it was just a hole for the drain coming out, and had this cover. So this just adds more versatility to it. Also allows me to more easily hook up a hose and shut off that flow if need be, have the hose go down into a gray tank. Another minor modification was this sticky gutter around the front. So that's worked out pretty well. The one thing though is, even with heavy rain, especially with heavy rain, the water really will pool here and just dump on me in certain instances. I mean, you can kind of see, I mean, the camper, because of the upgraded leaf springs on the truck, the camper still sits, you know, where the truck bed is still fairly slanted towards the front, and so meaning the the gutter isn't as effective as it could be, you know, if the camper was more like this or even just level. But the idea is majority of water gets sat in here and directed just to dribble down here and avoid dripping down on the truck. So had a mixed opinion on that, but I think it was worth it. It was probably 25, 30 bucks to get that. The gutter, that was enough gutter to do the front as well as the back here. So I think that's been nice to keep the water off of here a little bit. Also added a padlock here. You can see it's gotten a little weathered. Got a little bit of rust spots on there just to keep this box locked up. And finally gonna go in. Well, just before we go in, did want to mention one of the fluke things that happened with this particular camper is it just sitting out the sun. There was a crack that developed right here on this window frame, so that was a warranty repair through the camper manufacturer. Got me in touch with Lippet, I think is the manufacturer of actually the entire door. So they do the door and the window and just send it all as one piece, I guess, to Scout campers. But they sent me a new window, a new frame to put in there. The new window was actually a frosted model. I chose to keep with my original clear one, but used the new frame. And so that was a warranty repair. And in general, like, I'm not that pleased with the door as a whole. It really it's pretty leaky. It is pretty leaky. There's quite a gap here all the way up, just about. It's kind of hard to see in the footage. I mean, it's not so leaky that you actively see a bunch of sunlight coming through it, but it still is. Yeah, it's maybe a future mod. It'd be nice to get I think the Arctic Turn makes a really nice door. It's a two-piece door that has a built-in screen as well as an outer door. So I'm liking that, but I think that's like $1,800. So I'm gonna wait on that for a little bit. But anyhow, just overview of the space here. So got the Dometic stove in its case as an option. And so this can be disconnected with a quick connect and used to tailgate. And I think I'm gonna actually probably take this out long term and just have it as a dedicated tailgate option, and instead have just a microwave in this space, because I find a lot of my cooking, especially on the go, is just stuff I'd rather just warm up or cook up in a microwave or air fryer or Instapot type thing. So probably going to be looking to put a utility like that in here, or a appliance like that in here. And one minor addition was that by the stock contribution, I left some chocolate up here, so it got melted. But anyhow, oh gosh, and it looks like it's actually leaking. Oh great, wonderful. Anyhow, we'll deal with that in a little bit. Yeah, leaked there too. Shoot. Well, we'll deal with it shortly. So in stock form, it was intended to use the legume table, detach it, and put it here to make a lounge, you know, kind of a second bed area. And I kind of liked to just have that configuration long term, but as well as still keep the table. So I've done that. So this is just some really cheap, it's kind of almost like balsa wood, just really lightweight. I regret not going a little heavier duty, because I mean, just very easily, just a little nudge, like it creaks and, you know, it doesn't support itself well. Kind of regret not going with a more durable plywood there, and may do that in the future when this inevitably, if I put too much weight on it and inevitably break it at some point. We'll probably redo that. Also with the flexing, I actually screwed this down, but you can see here already one of the screws have kind of like worked out because of the flex of this. So anyhow, but it stays put. And yeah, I just, instead of using it as a dinette, I really just, because it's just me, I'd rather have it as just an all-time lounge and keep stuff down here stored. So the camper also came with a bed extension, which is under here, and you can pull these panels out to effectively become a king bed, almost a king bed. With this area actually stays open, but this area and this area will pull out and be longer for kind of a south to north sleeping situation instead of a side to side. Side to side has been working for me just fine. So that's, yeah, what I've liked about it. As you see though, these hooks for stabilizing the extensions, they came with cords or tie down straps, really, ratchet straps, to hang these extensions off of these brackets here. But I've really never used them. I almost took them out, but as you see, I've found a good use for them to just keep this bungee and this table stayed put during transit, as well as the cushions that came with them, I found are just really great for just having extra cushions. In fact, kind of my go-to kind of lounge workstation setup is to actually sit on both of these cushions with my feet out here, and a table much like this with a second kind of laptop bed table that I took the legs off. And yeah, that's been really nice, just lounging right here with an additional table on top. And yeah, that's been a good laptop setup. Another slight modification was there's a guy, I think it's Taurus Alexander on Facebook. He has an Etsy shop that he made a custom insert for this. Normally it was just a I'm wondering where the original thing is. Anyhow, but this was just a directional vent, but this 3D printed attachment allowed me to add some 3-inch ducting, and have the hot air go, be released closer to the floor there, which has been, I don't know, I've had mixed opinions. I see a lot of complaints online with how cold the floor can get. I mean, for me, I guess I'm pretty warm-blooded. Even in Steamboat, like with -20-degree mornings, like I had the heater going set to like 70, and I mean, it was keeping the camper, even with the window there open, just like you see there with the fan actively blowing out all the time, and the heater set at 75. Like it was keeping up here, especially my bed platform, kind of level, right in the 65-degree range. And the floor certainly was colder, but it was nowhere near -20 like the outside was. So I don't know. And it seemed like it almost adds so much resistive path to the heater. I mean, the heater's not blowing terribly hard, at least not with the thermostat function that I've seen. I mean, you could manually turn it up really high and just have a large amount of flow. But it's good to have that versatility, I guess. Is I can either take this off and have heat, stabilize the heat just on the upper part of the camper if I want, or this does add a little more even heating to the camper. But I found that it also doesn't heat the camper as well. So when it's trying to do the entire camper from the floor, going back to the example of thermostat was set to 75 and it was keeping things up here at a 65, maybe down here it was in like the 40s. With this, it seems like it would keep the entire camper more in like the 50s, when the thermostat was set at 75. So anyhow, moving on, also the option that came with the camper are these hanging bags. I think I've been really happy with those. I have a fairly good amount of weight. This one, this is just a hanging clothes bag, but this one has my pots and pans. So just one big pot, one big pan, one smaller pan, and also plates in here. So I mean, I don't know, maybe 30 pounds of weight in here. So got some wet wipes in here, an extra plate down here, shaker bottle for breakfast shakes. That's usually my go-to on the go breakfast option, is just mixing a quick breakfast shake. Cooking utensils and tongs, and just used a bungee cord for my my paper towel holder, and used behind the stove for just lotion, seasonings, kind of my go-to Tupperware for making a sandwich lunch for the day, say. Kleenex here, and then this space is usually taken up by the breakfast shake powder. And then as an option, this Dometic electric cooler came with the unit, so that's been great. Let's see, I guess continuing around this way, got the sink that comes standard with the camper. Oh man, when it gets hot, this cutting board really expands and really stays in there. But I just happened to have this cutting board that was the perfect size for this space. So instead of keeping the wood cover that used to be covering this sink, I've just replaced it with this cutting board, and that's been great. And then just added, some soap holder in there for my dishwashing stuff. Lifesaver water jug with the integrated filter. It's been working okay. It sometimes gets a little old, all the hand pumping for the pressure, and because it's hand pressured, as well as the biggest thing reducing the pressure is that integrated filter. So it really reduces the flow. So it's not a large spray that you get out of this, but it's been working okay. So I'm gonna stick with it for a bit, I think. Got a small fan up here, exhaust fan, and I'm really, my biggest critique here is I feel like it wouldn't have been that different price to just put a bigger Max Air fan in this unit. Because this, it has pretty good airflow, but it is a tiny fan, and so to get good airflow, it's got to spin really fast, and that means it's just loud. It's just louder than I think is kind of tolerable for me, at least. So you may hear like a slight fan noise from this guy, but actually this might be a good comparison. Is as quiet as these fans that are not that much bigger. They are bigger, so they don't have to spin quite as fast for a good amount of airflow. But this guy, when I turn him on, is noticeably louder. Hopefully that's coming through in that thing. So I mean, it's definitely a loud level that's more than just a passive breeze level of noise. It's pretty loud, and as a result, I really don't like using it much. I much prefer these battery operated fans that I got, just this one and that one. Between the two of them, I can move them around to increase or decrease airflow, and that's been really great. But I am planning to put a bigger, the 14-inch max fan in place of this skylight. So this came with a skylight. I did not get the rooftop tent, but the skylight does give access. And I've personally just found, I'll pull this out, I fitted some 2-inch foam, and actually still have my templates, my cardboard templates that I used to make these. I just put them in there, figured why not, and then just put some Reflectix on the window, because for me, I mean, I've just generally, it just hasn't been for me. I really don't use it much. When I have used it, I've had a couple times where I just forget that I've kept it open, and fortunately that hasn't caused any more damage than it's kind of damaged this shade. I don't think it'll come out in the yeah, it looks like the video is not really picking up, but there's like pigeonhole holes in this thing from the skylight being left open at highway speed, and I think this just rattled itself and developed some holes in it. But for me, my experience, I found, I mean, it's cool to have access to the roof through this. Sometimes it's nice to keep open and look at the stars through it. But for the most part, I found it just being just a big heater when I don't want it to be. So for instance, like today, the thermometer I have over here for my bed platform, that's reading that it's like 105. It actually does not feel quite that hot, so maybe that's a little off. Maybe it needs a little calibration, but anyhow, but even with that, like I can just feel, just even through these Reflectix, and especially when it didn't have Reflectix, just, you know, I just have this shade that it itself is not a Reflectix. You could just feel the just heat waves coming down from this thing during the summer. And in the winter, I didn't find I was up in the Northwest, and I mean, just the solar power in general and the solar heat in general during the winter, I didn't find, you know, we're creating that significant of heat waves in here to, in general, keep the camper heated anyway. So I think I'm going to get a lot better use and utility out of a bigger max fan here, as well as that's going to take up less roof space, and that's going to give more room for my next big upgrade, which is putting a whole ton more solar on the roof of this thing. So that's going to squeeze in here, so I can put a solar panel on the left side of it and the right side of it up top. So anyhow, talked about the cooler, and let's see, talked about the bed extension. I did get this, I don't even remember what this is called, but mattress underlayment. So it provides airflow under the mattress. Hopefully keeps the mold down. That's the idea. And just have general kind of storage for flat things. So got my stickers for the outside, as well as this is where I keep my mirror. And when I need it, I can put the mirror on that little hook there and use it. So that's worked out really great. Like that. Another quick mod is got this just suction cup mount on the ceiling. So that works great for just laying in bed. That can fit either my phone or a tablet. So that's been really great. Let's see, just got an extra sleeping bag just for emergencies in case the heater doesn't work. And I actually have had some issues there. Had a warranty replacement of the control screen. So I have been living in this during times where I did not have a heater. It's still, in those times, fortunately, did not get cold enough where I actually needed the sleeping bag. Like for me, again, fairly warm-blooded, I guess, is comforter and a single sheet on this. It's more than enough for me. Plus got extra blankets. And so I have had those extra blankets on top of me that I can remember. Also a lounge pillow. I use that very occasionally, but sometimes that's been nice. Over here, this is more kind of just kitchen, just Tupperware storage, some breakfast shake mix. That's pretty much there. I got book storage and journal there. I've actually ended up doing more of a video journaling than video and photo journaling than actually writing the journal, but it is there if I want to get that. Extra beach towel and some sweaters and windbreaker up there, extra hat, fly swatter, very important. Shopping bags, collapsible shopping bags have been really great. And this really easy mod, I mean, just get a bungee cord. I think it's either a 3-foot or a 4-foot. You know, it's not super tight, but it's been really great for, you know, after taking a shower, just put the towel up here, have it passively dry. During the snow sports, all the outerwear of the ski clothes, put them up there. That's been really great over the night. Got work clothes up on top of here. Oh, looks like this, the extra venting. This is probably where the stock vent face probably is. Oh, that's not that, but there it is. There we go. There's the stock one that went there. So at any time they just pop in and out. So anytime I want to go back to this, I just pop this out, pop this back in, pop it out, pop it in. Easy. So it's been great. Let's see what else. Oh, I experimented with this kind of cooling cushion. That's taken the edge off every once in a while. It's just a USB connected cushion with little, just basically computer fans. So I put that between me and the cushions, and it does okay. It would work better on a harder surface, probably, because, you know, between it just being squished between me and the flexible cushions, I don't think it gets as much airflow as it could if it was on a hard surface. Let's see. I guess one thing to mention, I don't have my clothes in here, because what I've actually, I used to use this as my clothes, my kind of suitcase. So all my clothes and toiletries and everything in here. What I've opted to do instead is to be modular. So I find, in addition to traveling in the camper, I do a lot of flying, either for my big international trips that I do or try to do once a year, if not more, depending on budget. Or I have family on the East Coast. So I find I do a lot of traveling in the camper and visiting with friends and family on the way, as well as flying. And so for me, it works out way better to really just always have my carry-on, my travel carry-on full and just ready to go. So at any time I can park the camper, I just need my backpack and my carry-on luggage, and it has everything I need. It has computer, clothes, everything. And so if I was living in the camper right now, what you would see on the bed is a carry-on suitcase that has all my clothes and toiletries and medications, everything just ready to go. As well as in here, up top on the bed probably would be my favorite backpack, my traveling backpack, that itself is ready to go and fly anywhere if I need to. So that's been working out really well for me. So it does mean an additional, you know, pull stuff off the bed at night, put stuff back on the bed in the morning, or if I'm doing big off-roading, like everything I happen to have up on the bed goes down on the floor, keep the weight down, and so it's not jostling as much. But if I'm just doing road travel, I actually really utilize this storage up here to the point where I don't think I could ever do a pop-up camper. Or if I did, I mean, it'd be more compromising, because that would really mean I'd have a whole bunch more stuff on the floor all the time. Whereas, especially traveling. But that's just really nice, especially on a stop for a groceries trip. I love the ability to keep my floor relatively open. Just pop into the grocery store, get what I need, come out, and I can be sure, oh, I can get right into my camper. I don't have to pop up the top or anything. I can get in the camper, access the cooler immediately. Really great. So anyhow, and so in that vein, what you see as an example here is my winter gear. I haven't pulled that out yet. Obviously don't need it for summer, but these are all my ski clothes for skiing or snowboarding, and helmet for that. And what actually I have taken out prior to this video, this was a lot more crowded during my winter setup, just because I had a snowboard bag. So that would be an additional thing that was on my bed. I'd have to take on and off. So it was it was a hassle of the time. Maybe the added space I'm going to create, you know, taking out these gas tanks, I'm kind of hopeful this will now become this side and the other side, that'll become my my ski and snowboard storage in the future. So I'll decrease that hassle of keeping that space. But even then, I'm going to have those extra stuff, because inevitably, like the boots, it's kind of nice to keep the boots in a climate controlled area. So, I mean, for that, they'd either be here in a bag, or they'd be kept, say, maybe in the truck cab, to keep them from freezing and keep them drying. Because when you're actively using them during the winter time, those that ski know that, yeah, if you're not wearing your boots, you want to have them be actively drying and stayed in a warm environment, so they don't get cold, they don't get wet, they don't get frozen. So anyhow, so I used to have a snowboard bag, and that bag's been really nice because it actually holds a snowboard and 3 pairs of boots, which has really been great. So that bag had snowboard, the snowboard boots in the center, my backcountry ski boots on one side, and cross-country ski boots on the other side. So that was really just great, that having all of that in one bag. And plus, it even had some space to actually put some extra clothing in that bag too. The bag's amazing. Really love that snowboard bag. So in addition to that, I had a ski bag that was hanging along the wall here. So that ski bag had straps that hung off of this hook, and also hung off of these carabiners here. So that was never something I needed to actively move, you know, for nighttime transitions. And I think that worked out really well. Its main con was, I mean, beyond kind of the awkwardness of just having a bag there and cramming skis. I had cross-country skis and backcountry skis all in one bag. It was a little tight and cramped. And so to cram that in up against the wall was a little rough. Beyond that, it disrupted the operation of this window a little bit. So I didn't like that as much, especially since I sit here and it's kind of nice to be able to open and close that window as I want. Whereas with that ski bag there, it just made that less good. But still not too bad. But again, to be able to move those bags, or at least the ski equipment, the skis and the snowboard, in an outboard location, get them out of the camper entirely, because it doesn't matter too much if they sustain really cold temperatures. It's all good. Then it would just leave the the boots, finding the boots a spot in here. Let's see, have some just miscellaneous. I mean, this is for bread to keep it from crushing. Have just this extra pad. Usually I keep this, what I've used this mostly for, beyond just a knee pad when I'm kneeling down and working stuff down below, I'll get to the lower stuff in a minute here, is just throwing this on the tailgate for a nice, easy, cushy cushion. For some tailgate lounging has been really great, and still had a good amount of wall space for family and friends photos. For the future, I'm thinking of taking up this region with an air conditioning solution. Still not sure if I want to try to modify things, make a window air conditioning unit work here, or a mini split, but that's kind of where this space, the future of that space, is going. This is just a quick mod. Didn't come with the camper, but easy to just get a sticky hook thing. So got some traction things for the cold weather. Don't really need those in the summer, but they're there. Some click sticks are nice and accessible for emergencies, and 2 easily accessible flashlights, just if need be. And you may have also noticed the headlamp there. Those are kind of my go-to, get up out of bed during the night, seeing what's what outside. I have just quick access to light solutions there. So that's been really great. I think that covers, summarizes pretty well, hopefully, the upper portion and mid portion of the camper. So now we'll get to the lower portion. I guess we'll start over here. Use these storage boxes. So one of them is my junk drawer. So it's got anything from just scissors to binder clips for quick clipping solutions, to batteries, to Velcro, a sewing kit, just all sorts of stuff in there. I got bear protection here, and then this is kind of my kitchen utensil and daily vitamin drawer. So it's got knives, utensils, you can probably tell right there, an instant thermometer, so that's been really great. Also keep some plastic gloves in there. I found that's been a really great solution. Adds to plastic waste, but handling meats and whatnot, if I'm not in a situation where I want to use my water system and I need to handle stuff real fast, the gloves are really nice for just a single use. Do whatever I need that is dirty, whether it's food stuff or maintenance stuff, whatever, and just toss them afterwards and keep my hands inside and clean. Got a hunting knife down here, as well as sponges and soap in there, so that's pretty straightforward. Great to have, going back to when the floor happens to be especially cold for whatever reason, whenever that happens to be during the winter, always great to just have some slippers. That's been great. Slippers and flip-flops for showers, beach, whatever. Always good to have. There's emergency foods. I got some canned beans still left over here. Pretty good storage back there. And actually, so this is my cell hotspot. It usually sits out here, but with it being sitting out here and getting hot, it's overheated a couple times being out there, so it was just out here to get a little more air. But this is my extra water, so between this and the Lifesaver pump water jug, I've got almost 10 gallons of fresh water, and in addition to that, I usually have topped off 2 or 3 Nalgene's. So plenty of water, 10 to 11 gallons basically at any given time when I'm fully topped off, and that's not even including the extra Rotopax water, which would be has been an extra 2 gallons emergency water. So, and so these take up floor space, but really for the floor I use, I still have, you know, a lot of, oh, looks like this kind of popped off. Need to tighten that a little bit, I guess. Anyhow, still got a good amount of floor. Fire extinguisher, carbon monoxide sensor, and smoke detector all came standard, as did these lights that you can hold them to make them dimmer or brighter. That's been really cool. Anyhow, getting a little sidetracked. So they do take up floor space, but I haven't found that they take up, you know, usable floor space or floor space that I'm actively just missing to have them there. So it's been great and fine, I think, to keep them here. They've been working out well. This clearly has an attachment to hook up a hose to the drain outside, so I can move this outside, and it's just an outdoor gray tank. So that's worked out well. And freshwater jug. Just get these guys out of, there we go. Just out of the way for now. Get a little more visibility. Also pee jugs. So usually keep 2-gallon pee jugs. Just depends on, you know, if I'm traveling through a lot of cities and just blowing through and not making a lot of stops. Sometimes I've used up to 2 gallons of storage for that. But usually it's no more than a gallon. Got a fold up toilet for the number 2 situations, but largely handle that with public restrooms. I guess I can pull that out for extra visual. This has been just extra socks and clothes. It's kind of, this is, you know, a little bit of a remnant of, you know, just extra miscellaneous clothes type stuff that I didn't want to downsize, and I wanted to just see, you know, put them somewhere and just see how well I use them or how much I use them. As you can see, it's down to quite a minimal amount. Of course, the bivy sack really is, that's kind of an additional, that combined with the sleeping bag there is really for emergency situations, or you know, having ready for packing up a backpack to do some mountaineering if I wanted to. Have a floor scale for just keeping track of my weight. The blink sync module for the security cameras, and a travel battery. So essentially I have that really being utilized for the backup battery of the security system. So even if I lose power, I still have just a little bit more juice left for the security cameras to stay going. This is just out of my tool chest, but I find I'm continuously curious about dimensions in my rig, so I've kept it here as kind of my go-to. Grab the tape measure, measure it up, see what's going on there. And the storage down here I've utilized for some emergency food, but I've cleared that out in preparation for the big solar and battery upgrade that I'm going to be doing. But anyhow, so shoe storage, there's a collapsible, it's just a dog bath, so for showers, hiking boots, got a vacuum. Where is my vacuum? Oh, I guess, yeah, the vacuum's on the other side of this UPS. So just a tiny little USB powered, battery vacuum, and it charges with USB. I think I got a shout bottle in there for laundry. And then some more miscellaneous, just activity focused clothing. Okay, and that brings us to the power station. So Yeti Eagle Zero 1500 power station came with the Scout unit, and unfortunately it's been kind of a little bit of a hassle. It's been really great when it works. I like the app for the most part. It just gives me a good way of, especially it connected to my cell hotspot or even Starlink, means anywhere in the world, theoretically, when everything's working great, can log in, you know, I can see the security cameras, see what's going on around the camper, and I can see what's going on with the power station. But that said, it's a little more than a year now having the camper. So actually a year and 2 months, almost exactly today. So a year and 2 months. I am on my third one. And so on the Pro side, you know, I talked about just the app is super simple, connectivity to Wi-Fi. It makes it really great to keep track of it. And the other Pro is they have been, Goal Zero has been easy to work with to get a replacement. So the first time the AC ports, something happened with the inverter, it just stopped working. And unfortunately, that's when I was on a trip to Egypt. And so that was very frustrating. Fortunately, the rig was at a relative's place, so I knew it was safe. And then, you know, I'd just have to get back to it when I could and figure out what was going on. But something happened with the inverter, so I lost power there. And I actually, it's really unfortunate because a lot of this, you can see these devices, they're plugged into AC power. So it's not ideal from a power conservation, power efficiency standpoint to house so much of your stuff on AC power. But no, it's just, that's the devices I had. And so what I sacrificed there, you can probably see, well, it says 14 watts, and that's because it's not just the inverter, but it's everything else. But just understand that this particular unit, you know, it's saying 13, 15, 8 of those watts. So more than half of the watts that are showing from these passive devices is just turning the inverter on. So that's the leakage you're getting there. So just turning the inverter on, even without drawing any power out of that, you're going to see 8 watts consumption on this particular unit. That's what I found. But anyhow, first one, AC went out, was freaking out. And then as far as I could tell, the second one, there's something to do again with the inverter on the second one. I don't know. It was a different situation though. It wouldn't cut the power completely. I mean, technically it actually started to by the end of its issues before I got this third one. But it did this weird thing, and it had to do with the power consumption out of that. So even though this is theoretically the spec on this, it's supposed to be a 2000 watt inverter in here. I've never drawn anywhere close to that amount of power, but I have gotten up into the 500 some watts. So I've got a pretty powerful laptop. It alone will get up into the 300 watt. You add to that the load for the cooler that, you know, in idle, the cooler uses next to nothing, but when its compressor kicks on, it's doing work. It's a good 70 watts that it draws, sometimes even more. So 70 to 100 watts with the cooler. And then when the heater kicks on, especially when it first starts up, when it's igniting the heater, the diesel heater, I've seen that usage spike up into the 110, 120 watts. So you add all that together and you can start seeing how you can get up to the 500 or 600 watts draw. What I was seeing with the second one of these was really any time the power draw coming out of that got up over 200 watts, which I did on a regular basis. My laptop alone would draw that. It would just start intermittently just cutting the power. It would just it cut the power. It would beep, do its beep, beep, beep. I think it's either 3 beeps or 2 beeps is kind of the indication of the inverter complaining. So it would do that. It would cut power for anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes. It was just really random. Cut power, and then all of a sudden it would just come back on. And so that's why you see this UPS here is I got this just in the interim before I could get a replacement or get that second one of these diagnosed. This allowed me to have just some intermediate
power. For when that would cut the power, this would keep everything running in the interim, just as an extra battery backup. So, hopefully, theoretically, with my new system, I'm planning will not need the use of this. I'll gain some more storage here. That'll be great. Let's see. Have I gone through everything? I talked about the warranty repair on the back door. Well, back door's window frame. It was really weird. It just by sitting out in the sun, it just dried up and cracked for some reason. That was weird. The Yeti Goal Zero has been unfortunate. Been gone through 2 of them so far. I'm on my 3rd. I have had this act up a little bit as well, but not. I mean, I've only had it now for about 3 months, and in those 3 months, I've been just doing a lot of planning and not actively using the camper. So I can't fill in the details as much with why this acts up sometimes. But that said, in the last probably full month and a half, it has been solid. So, anyhow, I think it is what it is. It's because it's failed 2 times already on me. I really want to get just a more reliable system, or at least a larger component-based system that I have built that at least I know how it works. So I'm a little more in tune, hopefully, for when things go wrong, I can diagnose it a little better. So it's unfortunate. I do love the idea of these. And based on online reviews and whatnot, I'd probably, if I stayed with just having it all in one thing, I'd probably switch to a Blue Eddy system. They seem to have just to be more robust in general, it seems. So, but I've opted to do a more built-out system, so we'll see. So this is 1,500 watt hours. My new system will have just over 5,000 watt hours, so more than triple the storage capacity of this. Its inverter will be pretty much the same capability, well, theoretically, but just the Victron and 2,000 watt inverter charger thing is just, it's almost as big as this whole thing combined. So I think it's a lot more robust of an inverter, whereas I mean, seeing as 2 units already have had issues delivering AC power from the new units, I think whatever they're doing to make such a small inverter in this package is to its detriment. So that's unfortunate. I have liked the dual charging capability with the MPPT module edition. So that's allowed me to charge with the solar panel on the roof, as well as charge with an additional source. So this is, for example, this is hooked up to shore power. The shore power is off right now because, as you see, solar's doing just fine. It's at 100%. But I would switch this cable to, if I'm driving, I would switch it to the cable that's coming from the truck's battery. So from that step-up transformer between the battery and this unit. So this would charge up to 560 watts, almost 600 watts sometimes, off of the truck while I'm driving around. Or if I'm staying put, I have a flexible 300 watt solar panel that I put outside, fold that out on the floor, on the ground, and that is then hooked up into that external plug of the camper that gets wired into here, and so that's an additional plug. So that was utilizing this plug out here. That now, you know what, I think I'm just going to take this off and just plug it for now in the interim. Okay, that's it. I'm trying to pull it out without loosening this, but it looks like I'm gonna have to. There we go. All right, keep that there. And let's put this in here for now. Okay, so great. That's been a good overview of the inside. Oh, I guess the only thing I haven't shown on the outside here is the outdoor storage. So this has been really great. Really like having this here. So this is when I was using the generator, I had an oil can here. This is a fold out camp chair. It's been really great. Extra camping pad that also can fold up into kind of a camp chair as well. I've been really loving these Lynx leveling blocks. They've been really great, both for leveling the camper as well as I've actually used them as recovery devices. So from getting either myself or somebody else unstuck from the snow, these have been really great. Just putting them down under the tires, digging stuff out, putting them out right under the tread. They've been really solid for that. In fact, I actually have bought these twice because the first time I helped somebody recover, I was just so relieved about just getting over that hassle, and that I accidentally left I believe 6 of them that I used for traction pads. I accidentally left 6 of them just in the road there. So hopefully somebody else has happened upon them, put them to good use. But yeah, so since I was down 6 of them, I bought another pack of them. Let's see, this, I think just miscellaneous ropes in this bag. This is a fold-up camp table, solar cable for the portable solar panel. Got some tie downs, some bottom and top windbreakers. So that's been good just to have as quick just emergency kind of pseudo snow gear / wind protection. And yeah, so that's how I've utilized this outdoor storage. You see the camper's name is Dalton. And so the other update or a slight mod that I did to the camper was, you see there, as screwed 2 holes into a piece of pipe. That piece of pipe is actually a section of just a clothes hanger, just like a clothes closet hanger post that you put horizontally, and that's what you hang clothes on. So I just cut probably 8-9 inches off of that, drilled holes into it, and that became my pole that I could mount the Starlink on. And then I just have the power cable coming down here with just sticky zip tie brackets down here and into the camper there. And for the future, I've kept this open, and so I mean, it does technically maybe let some very adventurous explorative mosquitoes in, perhaps. It also does let in cold air in the winter and hot air in the summer. I've lived with it so far. It would be nice to completely seal this up, and I think I'll probably do that with my power upgrade. Is once I finally decide, what cables I really want to have going into and out of the camper, I think I will finally seal that off with some sort of a plate with just dedicated wires. So for instance, definitely have like an Anderson connector, say, sticking out of here, so I can just plug the truck into it or unplug it as I need to if I need to take the camper off, as well as at the very least have an AC power cord of some sort, probably one going in and one going out, say. So this right now hooks to this is just an extension cord that goes and plugs into the house for some shore power. So yeah, so that's the Starlink pole mount. solution, and so the cord just stays in there. I keep the end of it in a Ziploc bag just for some added protection from moisture. And I actually, to plug it, I had thought about just having some sort of just a rubber plug that I would then have a cinch bracket, whatever those those pipe tightened pipe things are. That was on, for instance, the vent in there to just tighten a pipe. But actually, what that is it's just it's kind of a rubber cover that is meant to be put on the bottom of a dining table to keep the dining table from scratching the floor, for instance. So anyhow, I found one of those that it just so happens plugs just very nicely and snugly into the pipe. And so that's worked out really well. And so then the other mod is this aluminum rail that you see here. So I actually put a little bead of caulk along the camper wall and then flatten that out a little bit with my finger just for protection between the camper and that rail, just because that rail is literally like a 1/16 of an inch, maybe even smaller. Like it's just a millimeter, maybe 2 millimeters away from the camper. And so in the event, it gets some buffeting from the wind, I wanted to protect the camper. But for the most part, I think that's, is it a 12 foot? Yeah, it's either a 10 foot or a 12 foot piece. So I didn't actually, maybe, I think I used the full length of that. So the reason I wanted it that long is that's exactly the right length for the fold out solar panel that I keep in the cab. And so what this actually allows me to do, you notice the hole there on the end. I also added one of these eye bolts to that bracket. And so what this allows me to do is actually hang that whole solar panel on that bracket. These additional holes you see there, those are, in case there's some windy conditions and I want to lock down the panel more. And so then I can loop a bungee cord around the solar panel and utilize those holes. So I've only really had to do that in the center. And even then, it's just the particular solar panel I use is pretty lightweight. It doesn't get blown around too much. So really the important thing I found is secure it on the end there, secure it there, as well as bungee this corner of it and that corner of it down. I usually bungee it, have a bungee from this handle to where that solar panel is. And then that's basically just pinned flat against the camper. And that's been pretty wind resistant. And that has been my extra solar solution, because right now I only have the stock 175 watt panel on the top of the camper. So the max solar I've ever used in the last year has been the 300 watt that I put on the side or on the ground, and the 175 watt. And that's been very limiting, especially going back to my laptop uses. Like my powerful laptop, when it's really cooking, if I'm doing gaming or making a video, and it's sucking down 300 watts, this solar barely keeps up with it. And in winter, it doesn't keep up with it. In winter, I could not, even when I had 475 watts of solar, it was not keeping up with it, just because I'd get half of that capacity maybe during a good day, because often it was just so cloudy in the Northwest. And so what got me through the winter was having the ability to charge off the truck. So while I was driving, or even by the end of the winter, a lot of times if I was needing to use the computer a lot, I would just have the truck idling to actively keep up with my power demand. And that's not ideal. You don't want to, if you can help it, there's all sorts of reasons that you don't want to have your your vehicle idling for long periods of time. And I'm talking like hours of time, which is like 8 hours straight on a regular basis of charging. And needing the vehicle to idle that long is not ideal. So hence the goal is to put 760 watts of solar on the roof, and have that 5 kilowatt hour battery, and hopefully that will be more in line with my my consumption. So looking up at the top of the roof, so that big old skylight, that's got to go. Got to get that off. I've got a metal plate that I'm going to cover that up with, and have inch foam below that, you know, to really fill in that hole, and have a max air fan in that place. That's going to give me more room for a solar panel here on either side of where you see that skylight, as well as I'm even going to have, I'm pretty sure I can get away with having another panel on the back here. It's actually going to be sticking out over the side, over the back of the camper, maybe as much as 6 inches. I think I can keep that to just 4 inches, but that will be an overhang. I'll have to figure out how to attach that, secure that. And then of course, either sticking with, but more likely just replacing the 175 watt panel with a rigid panel up there. And so that means probably the new panel is going to be covering that, the plug you see going, those wires into the roof. So I'll probably have to just seal that up, because the new panels will need to be set on top of that. So I'll probably plug that up and choose another spot, probably somewhere around here, just behind the max air fan, for the new solar wires to go into the camper. And then that'll leave another spot to have just a roof mount for the Starlink, to just have it permanently or more permanently mounted on that. I'm actually going to use a magnetic mount, so I can still take it on and off in that space. But hopefully there'll be space for in the center of the roof, max air fan, the access for the solar wires to go into the roof, and then a Starlink, and then have the solar panels on each side of the roof, one back here, and then one on the slanted portion. And I could just take this out since I'll have that fan, but I think I'm just gonna keep this, because I can fit the solar panel back here okay while still keeping this. And I think having the 2 fans is going to be good, even though I doubt I will use this hardly at all, just because it's just loud. It's too loud for my liking. But that said, I think I've finally gone over it. Wow. I did not think I would take an hour and almost 15 minutes. So we're at an hour 13 minutes talking about all this stuff. Wow. Okay. But I'll call that good for now. And we'll start probably just taking all this stuff out so I can make room. Oh, I guess I'll finish up with more details on the plan here. So my plan is to cut right here, cut and separate off the top of this cabinet to make it a trap door. So I'll have vertical access to this whole space, and even take out the shelf that is holding this power station up. So I'll have the whole space from floor all the way up. That's going to be 23.5 inches of vertical space. And so I'll have that whole cabinet area to use for my bigger battery. That's going to take up like half of the floor in there. And then the other half will be all the other components, the inverter charger, the MPPTs bringing in the solar panel, circuit breakers, bus bars for distributing the power, all that stuff. So I'm designing that. And so my intent, my kind of plan is battery will be in there. It'll be screwed into the floor, secured, screwed into the floor, or just strapped to the floor, anyhow, secured in there. And then the back wall will be actually plywood, a plywood L. So it'll be shaped like this. That will have nearly all of the other components beside the battery. This is my plan, at least. So it'll be this L of plywood with all that stuff mounted, bolted up onto it, connected with wires, and that'll just be all one unit that, if need be, because when it's all in there, it's going to be tight. It's not going to be some place I'm going to want to stick my hand into. It's going to be a very tight area. So all of those non-battery components ideally will be on those that L of plywood that I will be able to just pull out, bring it up here, set it on the bed, set it here, and just be able to have access to all that stuff. And so that's going to necessitate just being able to do that, lift that whole thing out. It's going to necessitate some longer wires than would be needed if I was keeping it all in here. But I think that's okay. So just I'll just size up the wires a little bit more, especially between the inverter charger and the battery. That's going to be the biggest potential load. And the bus bar, positive and negative bus bars. So from the battery to things, instead of a 2-foot cable, it'll probably be more like a 5-foot cable. But I think that's just going to be very nice as far as access. If I need to troubleshoot and change things up, I think it's going to be a lot better to be able to remove that whole piece of paneling and have very good access to both it and the battery if need be. And then, of course, because stuff is going to be tight, going to need some good airflow. And so obviously thinking about whether I keep this area open or I make it look a little nicer and enclose it, will very much have a pretty good size fan, I think, that's actively blowing air out of this area, and then having a fan down there, either in that space down there or just in this wall, throwing the coldest air possible in the camper, which will be, the coldest air in the camper will be low center and along the floor in the camper. So it'll be throwing that coldest air possible into the cabinet, and then the air will be coming out here. So that's kind of my thoughts. It's just a matter of getting to it. The first step being take that skylight out and patch it and get that max air fan going. And hopefully pretty easily, I've seen people fairly easily access the wiring for the light, and just tapping into the wiring for the light. But of course I'll be coming down with new solar cables. So the other option also is just run new cabling for the max air fan right along with those solar cables and bring them down either along the wall here and down, or along the wall, the ceiling and wall here and down. TBD on that exact routing. And then this will be a trapdoor that I might latch, or I may just keep it, put some pads on it so it'll close. With the weight and just how I have this set up, that will keep the trapdoor secured all the time anyway. So I think that goes over the existing camper and kind of my plans. All right, I'll call it with that.